Hello, everyone. Welcome back to This Is My Bourbon podcast. I am your host, Perry, here for just a little bit on this Wednesday, in this Christmas, where I say to you, a very Merry Christmas, or Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you celebrate. I hope that this episode finds you well. This week, we're going to be talking a lot less about bourbon and a lot more about you, the listener. Earlier in the week, I asked for listeners to send in Christmas wishes, or special messages, or questions, or whatever they may have, to be shared on this week's very special Christmas bonus episode. And maybe you're just driving to grandma's, getting ready to sit down with the family for dinner. Or maybe you just needed 30 minutes to get away, grab your favorite bottle, and just relax for a little bit. Hope you brought something special to share with your family. As I'm sitting next to this roaring fire, easing in, getting in the Christmas spirit. Myself, I'm enjoying some Wild Turkey Rare Breed, 112 proof, that they don't make anymore. And I'll tell you, oh, that's delicious. Listen to that fireplace roar. Well, I say we don't waste any more time. Let's find out what you listeners of the show wanted to share on this very special Christmas of 2019. Start out with our friends from all the way across the pond in good old Brisbane, Australia. First one goes to Lil. She says, "Merry Christmas, Pear Bear, from your favorite Aussies. Hope you get to enjoy the Star Wars soon." Lil, thank you for that message, of course. For those that don't know, Starward is an Australian whiskey. And Lil and her partner, Chris, brought over some samples for myself and It's Bourbon Night to enjoy. It's Bourbon Night has already sampled those, and I'm next. And it seemed like the perfect time of year, with Star Wars coming out, The Rise of Skywalker, to dive into something like Starward. Which, by the way, tangent, we will have a very special new Star Wars episode coming out. Talk all about The Rise of Skywalker. Because we did it for The Last Jedi, and it only makes sense to finish it out. More on that later. But right now we're drinking bourbon, and we're talking about the holidays. Once again, Lil, thank you for your message. This next one is short, sweet, to the point. It's from our friends over on Instagram, @BeerLovers of Wisconsin. And they simply say 2 words. Cheers, friends. And I can't think of a better way to cap off this holiday season than just by saying cheers. And saying I hope that you too are sharing pours with family, friends, cheering to this wonderful year and the opportunity to get through another one and enjoy these holidays. So to that, I will say, cheers. I tell you, nothing nicer than sitting next to a fire and getting all cozy with a glass of bourbon. Just really warms your spirits. And that, my friends, was a Christmas pun. This next message comes from good friend of the show in the northwest portion of the United States, Mr. Joseph Brazo, and he says, I'd like to wish a very Merry Christmas to all the Perrys and the Swans and the Curtises and the Ritters, and to all the weirdos that surround the above mentioned. Ho, ho, ho. Joseph, thank you. There's no better way to describe the folks around us than by saying that we're all just a little bit weird. But you know what? It's the ones that we call closest that we say just might be a little bit weird. Is that because of us? Or is that because of them? Who's to say? Who's to say? This next one is actually in the form of a question from Mr. Brandon Weiss. He says, do you have an idea of what you're going to do with your bottles in the future? Try to drink them all? Give them away? Leave them in your will? LOL. Well, Brandon, the $1,000,000 question. What's going to happen to your bourbon when you're gone? Because you can't take it with you. So what do you do with it? Well, I imagine that all of this bourbon will not be consumed just by me. But I hope to share it with friends, family, and special occasions, like Christmas, like the holidays. I think I'll have another sip right now. Wild Turkey Rare Breed. I encourage you. Share it with your friends, your family, this holiday season. Because nothing says we're all in this together like high proof bourbon. Shall we have another high proof bourbon? This one is one of my favorites that came out this year. It's actually a store pick of it. This is a Weller Full Proof single barrel. America. So I'm finishing up the pour. Why don't we move on to another message from you, the listener? And this one comes from one of our most beloved friends, characters, and all-around good people that we've gotten to know through this show. And that, my friends, is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Santa Cletus. Did I read that right? No. Yeah, Santa Cletus. Oh, okay. Well, the rest of this makes sense now. Okay, Santa Cletus says, Merry Christmas to all the good little bourbon nerds out in Toyland. May your Glencairns always be full, your ice never be cloudy, and your stockings be forever stuffed with that sweet, sweet Woodfords. Love, Santa Cletus. Now, Santa Cletus, you know that there's nothing more special than taking a nice long gulp out of that half-full Glencairn through a straw of some Woodford Double Oaked. And may you be able to enjoy that, our dear friend, with friends and family. Or maybe you just need to hop on up to Cletus's gun range and forget about your worries and your strifes. And just indulge in the finer things in life. The Woodford of the world through a straw. Cheers to you, Santa Cletus. Oh, fire needs tending. Let's throw another log on. Stoke it a little bit. Get it nice and good. Maybe the fire would like to taste a little bit of bourbon too. I think that's a yes. And I certainly would like to have a little bit of this here Weller Foolproof. Now that, my friends, is one fine bourbon. Maybe even comparing to the incomparable and oft-eluded Woodford. Let's move on to a Christmas wish, shall we? This is from Ian _that_bourbon_guy. Ian McMaster. He says, my Christmas wish is to finally win the Ohio lottery for B-Tac and Pappy. Hoping I get the job in Kentucky, and cheers to family and friends. Now, if there is not a Christmas wish out there that doesn't involve trying to win some B-Tac or some Pappy in a lottery, folks, you need to rethink what you're doing. Or don't. I mean, that's totally up to you. Oh, man. Oh, take a little stretch. Get relaxed. This might be the only time during the holidays that you have to reflect. And that's what it's all about, right? Reflecting, love, being with the ones you love, watching Christmas Vacation on repeat till your eyes bleed. We all remember our first Christmas. Weird that happened. We might not all remember our first Christmas. I mean, it was a long time ago for some of us, and we're also very, very small. Some of us being, you know what? Never mind. Let's get back to the bourbon. Well, how about this message? This one comes from a longtime listener, but a new patron. Which, by the way, if you want to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast. That is the best way to give little old Pear Bear a Christmas gift at this time of year. This comes from Eric Smith. He says, new to Patreon, but long-time listener. Merry Christmas, and my wish, yet another Christmas wish, y'all, is that everyone finds a special bottle or two this coming year that they don't have to camp out in the cold for or sell their soul to get. Cheers. Folks, let me tell you, for those of us who haven't sold their soul to find that sweet, sweet bottle that has eluded us all this time, consider yourself lucky. And cheers to you as well, Eric. Thank you. Let's finish up this Weller Foolproof so we can move on to what I would call the coup de grace of the evening. And no, Cletus, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Oh, hold on. That fire needs a little bit of tending. Calm down. It's alright. It's just bourbon. But anyway, perhaps one of my favorite bourbons to have ever been made. Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C9 18. Ah, now that is a cork pop. Barrel proof bourbons, they're not an everyday deal, but when this time of year comes around, nothing says, hey, you and I, we get each other. Like a barrel proof, especially in Elijah Craig. Oh, you thought I meant we get each other like you were talking to somebody. No. That was you talking to the bourbon. Never mind. Well, back to the messages and the wishes. How about we bring it on back to Brisbane, Australia? From the second half of the dynamic duo, that is the Aussies. And this time, it's from Lil's partner, Chris. Chris says, After such a big year, this little community has become bigger and had many meetups, even with us Aussies. We hope that y'all and your families have a very Merry Christmas. To you, Pear Bear, we hope that you can take those next big steps for your bourbon journey. And next year, even bigger and better. Till we see each other again next year, cheers. Chris, it's gonna be the one that starts to make me well up. Old Bear Bear's starting to get emotional here on this Christmas day. Whew. Okay. Well, 2019 was a big year for the podcast, and 2020, well, it's gonna be even bigger. So everybody be sure to stay tuned for that. Moving on to our next message. Well, maybe first I'll have a little sip of this Latch Craig Barrel Proof C918. Nothing's gonna get you through the holidays like an Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, shared with friends and family. It may be that weird guy who hangs out in front of the Kroger every Thursday morning asking if you've got any loose change. Not because he wants to spend it on anything, but he just likes the way it sounds when it jingles in his pocket. This next message is from our friend over on Instagram at my_drinking_hobby. He says, first and foremost, I would like to thank you, Swan, and all the other hosts of the show for doing an amazing job. Thank you for your kind words. It is a joy on Wednesday morning when I get to work and a new show is waiting for me. My message is stolen from President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Through the marvels of scientific advance, my voice is coming to you from a satellite circling in outer space. My message is a simple one. Through this unique means, I convey to you and all mankind America's wish for peace on earth and goodwill to men everywhere. It's the spirit of the season, folks. Nothing sums it up like that. Whew. Things are starting to get a little toasty with the fire. Ooh, okay, well, maybe we'll start to wrap this up and let y'all get back to your families and your special time. So just a couple messages left. This one comes from Eric Janssen. Janssen? Janssen. Alright, we're gonna go with that. He says, Perry, thanks for the best bourbon podcast out there. My goodness. That's too kind. And for being such a great guy. The community you have created through and around your podcast is one I truly enjoy and appreciate. He says, Merry Christmas to you and the entire This Is My Bourbon podcast community. May your 2020 be better than 2019, and all the bottles you've been looking for be found and bought reasonably. Now, folks, we may search high and low for the one thing that makes us happy, but in the end, a reasonable price is going to be the one thing that makes us realize that we got something good. Until you crack it open and try it with somebody. I mean, it's not an ideal situation if you're just, going through the line and you're buying it and you're like, oh, it's a pretty good deal. I guess I better buy it anyway, But, if it's that one thing you really sought after and then you get a good deal on it and you're able to share it around and everything, that's what it's all about. So, yeah. Hey, Eric. Thank you for your message, my friend. Truly, truly special. And last but not least, great friend of the show, all the way up from New York, Mr. Steven Sussman. Steven says, here's my Christmas message. Hope you have a great Christmas and New Year, Perry and Lucy. Swan, I hope you have a great holiday season as well. And I hope the seagulls aren't causing you too much trouble. Hope you have a great holiday season as well, Curtis. Thank you, Perry, for making this podcast. It's definitely helped me get through some times earlier in the year and all Thursday morning commutes. Also, just made my first batch of bourbon balls for the season, which kind of got me into the show after I joined my first 10-bip live stream and Swan's Balls in the title. Fair, okay, yeah, good. Keep up the genuine and quality content, my friend. Steven, I think I speak for all of us here at This Is My Bourbon Podcast when I say thank you. And thank you to the listener for indulging in the hours that this show has put so much work into. From January 1st all the way until the very end at December 31 of 2019. Cheers to you. May you have a truly wonderful end to the year. May you enjoy this holiday season with friends, family, great pours. And while you're at it, go follow the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at MyBourbonPod. Give us a 5-star rating review on iTunes. And maybe become a patron of the show at patreon.com/MyBourbonPodcast. That really did help for Christmas presents this year. Anyway, it's been a real pleasure getting to sit down with you all for a little bit on this beautiful, beautiful, wonderful, absolutely fantastic Christmas Day 2019. And I'll leave you with this. May your love be ever flowing. May your hearts be joyful. And may your glasses never be empty. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Cheers to everyone. My name is Perry, and this is My Bourbon Podcast. Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.